review, I found myself getting the corridors out of the bush. And I thank God that I think soon I'll be having a paper delivered to that effect. That's one option that I prefer to take, but the others are there. There are about 2 or 3 or 4 others, but you may consider to get to the research gap of your need, you may opt to verify whether by substantiating its existence. And sometimes this again takes you back to literature. So you go back to understand and detail your risk and substantiate your gap. And then we also had the option of having to pretest, but I didn't go that. And then also you could also do just by reasoning, classifying your argument, and then deliver your context of the gap. So out of those 4 also, I preferred to deal with synthesis of literature. And what most important to the gave me a way forward as well is issues of it eventually led me to determine my motivation of the study. And I may want to indicate that to arrive at this, I was able to first know what exists in my area of study through the systematic literature review. And then my gap came in, and therefore I had the need to contribute to this gap. And this eventually led to my thinking. Once that was done, the next challenge was issues of the theory. Of course, there is this debate on whether to use 1 or 2 theories or more. There are those who prefer more, but I felt I would have gone with 1 theory. Nonetheless, the perception, the perspective is why we do more than 1 theory came to my mind through this forum and the discussion. And I noted that you apply maybe 1 or more theories when you have variables that possibly touch more than 1 discipline of your study, so that the second theory may touch the other discipline on your study, or when the context of the study is not fully covered or explained by 1 theory, then you may wish to have the second theory. And also think that especially when you have focus on inter-construct relationship, you may wish to identify what relationship has not yet been covered by 1 theory. So you have your constructs, but you have not sufficiently covered all of them using 1 theory. So it justifies having 1 other theory. But on the overall, I note that 1 theory in a study can sufficiently take you on to the end of the journey. And then, of course, what I realized that we note the issues of contribution in your research journey. As a PhD scholar, you need to contribute new knowledge. And the discussion brought through, I noted that it's easier to contribute new knowledge through the use of moderators or mediators, if you wish to have them in your conceptual framework. So in the analysis, I did a matrix, and of course, I had not been familiar with how to run those matrices. So I had a matrix that first every theory I was reading, I would design, set the origin, who are the authors, develop the assumptions of that theory, as I read what are the strengths and weaknesses of the theory, and then what was the missing information or insufficient information to that effect. And then eventually it led me to what I needed to do. So that's how I kind of got myself into deriving the theory I was applying in my study. And of course, I think it is important to note that it depends on the direction of your study. If it's a theory testing, you will have to act accordingly. If it is theory building, you also do as preferred by your and most important is the guidance from your supervisors. Finally, before I give one comment on the improvement, possibly is I could give 1 or 2, 3 takeaways. The issue to note, I noted in the journey is that, of course, when we're writing, I think I became aware that from these discussions in this forum, that your research questions or your hypotheses eventually unpack a research problem. So when you're writing your research questions, it relates to your research problem. It unpacks your research problem. And when you're conducting a literature review, it will certainly concern a debate of your knowledge gap. When you have a knowledge gap, you will be dealing with it during the literature review. And it touches on the conceptual framework, the variables you have. And the debate rotates around that territory. The other point was that the purpose of the study normally speaks to your methodology. And I realized there's a link in those two. And also your research question will become, most times you are finding chapter. When you're writing a chapter, you need to link it to your research question. And it is important that we don't lose focus from our research question and objectives on whatever we are doing after the field. We keep in touch with the research question and objectives. It's very critical. And each time we get lost or stuck, it is important that we review those, either the problem or the purpose or your research question has a problem. So you simply get back to those and see where, if you are stuck in your progress, then there is a problem somewhere. And possibly when developing your title of the study, there are times when we say a case of or a case study of. Once we indicate a case of, it means we're speaking to the scope of your study. But when we speak to a case study of, you are already tying yourself to the methodology of case study. So it's important for us possibly to take a bit of those, of course, with the ultimate corrections, if any faltered. I'm sure our elders and professor will guide appropriately. Lastly, only one point I may want to keep adding on is that I benefited a lot from the new territory I went into, methodology that I went into, and this forum, excuse me, this forum lent me all the support, and of course, after I got from my supervisor, and the first support comes from your supervisor. Once he gives you or she gives you clearance to please proceed, you should dig deeper and make sure you get out of there. So I was able to test the progress of myself from this forum on that methodology, and I eventually got more confident. And subsequently, I contacted the proponents of the methodology in Harvard. And shockingly, they were very cooperative, and they shared a lot of material that they were using, because it's not new. It's not necessarily a new methodology, but it's fairly recent, and that's from the 1970s, 80s. And there's a lot of work in Harvard so far that is going on. So my proposition would be, my proposal would therefore be that I know that of the forum of 60 or 70 students here, we may have one or two that are venturing into territories that, like I possibly did. It would be good that that's kind of a student steps forward as well, and we give them also that kind of another support to deliver where possible, so that we can partake of their their progress and finding. I thank you so much, and I thank Professor for this opportunity to learn, and the professors who shared their knowledge, and the students, especially the coordinators. You're really outstanding. You kept consistent, and I think that alone is a learning point that I've taken strongly, that I need to always persist and deliver where there is need to, in the way you did. And thank you so much, and I'm wishing the team here a Merry Christmas and prosperous next New Year. And God bless.
Wow. Thank you very much, Bosco. I can just, I've just been trying to look around where I wrote notes on the methodology, the fuzzy sets. For me, I think people who went through extended levels of study in mathematics would have heard about the things, but some of us would have not gone very far. So for me, it was very exciting when Bosco took us through an entire month looking at the fuzzy sets, and there was a lot of learning, and people had a lot of things to take home, but also a desire to learn. Again, thank you, and thank you very much, Bosco. We have always talked about so many things and encouraged each other, and for me, that is really something I'm proud of. Prof, you will now really listen to the students and see, number one, the kind of confidence and the kind of speech that they are giving is more of research than any casual discussions we had before we came into this. I must again remind the rest of the class that when we talk about systematic share reviews, Professor Joseph Ntai and the team recently published a paper on systematic share review, and this adds to what Bernard already has. So we are beginning to see the products coming out of that new way of reviewing literature that you introduced to the students. We indeed thank you very much. I would like to, at this point, again, take us to another one more student. I think I have two more students who will share with us briefly, and that is Sylvia. Sylvia, I can see you are on now. Kindly, in a few minutes, share with us your journey, your experience with this class, and we'll be very grateful listening and learning from your experience. So the floor is yours, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Joseph, and good morning, members.
Good morning to you.
I didn't prepare any PowerPoint presentation, but I can just share a few or one or two things. Sorry, I logged in when Bosco was already sharing his experience, and somehow it ties to what I really want to speak to. But I think it doesn't harm. It could be still a point of re-emphasis. And basically, I would want to re-emphasize the issues of the study motivation and the research gap from my side. And for me, this is something that I feel every student needs to pay attention to. Clarity, Adasha said, it's about clarity of your study motivation. Personally, from my side, one thing I would like to share about this journey is actually being clear about your research motivation. And in this case, at PhD level, usually our research motivation ties with the research gap. So I think one thing that really disturbed me over time was, you know, when we start by tying yourself to a particular topic, and for me, it affected me a lot. I tied myself to a topic, and now when it comes to what is your research gap, that question became a bit very difficult to answer every other time, because you tie yourself on a topic, and you're not able to articulate why that study, what is bothering you, and all that. So in this PhD journey, one thing I've learned is that always from the beginning, be clear about your research gap. Be clear, whether you're walking, whether you wake up at midnight, whether you're asleep, you should be able to say what you are studying, not as in terms of the topic, but your research gap. And talking a little bit about research gap is that a research gap, of course, what we know, or what I knew before really getting into it, was that I used to think about the practical gap, those percentages, you know, this so many people don't have electricity, this so many people are not using electricity, this so many, it goes beyond that, you know. So with the practical gap, it's important at the PhD journey, but again, the question I would always encounter when I say that is what is motivating me, they say, yes, we know it, we know, we are aware, so what? And again, it takes you back to still being clear with the research gap. So apart from just the practical gap, you know, so many people don't have this, so many people are not able to access this, so many people are not using electricity productively. You have to tell us about the knowledge gap. So many people, so what? So, Chair, that is where the gist of this whole PhD motivation research gap is. What is the knowledge gap? What is it that is not known about what you are studying? My area of studies are productive use of electricity by households in Uganda here, specifically with a bias to solar. And knowing my research gap meant that after getting the practical gap or the reality story or maps, you know, develop a reality map. What is it practically that we can see is bothering me. I had to go deeper into literature review. Bosco has just spoken about literature review. To date, I feel there is no shortcut for a PhD student for you to break through if you have not reviewed literature. Even when you have a good, strong practical gap, you still cannot break through without going into, understanding the literature, reviewing the literature, and trying to get what is it that is missing in the literature and trying to explain that practical gap that you're talking about, okay? For example, for my case study, my argument was that yes, the government has put in a lot and, people have got electricity, but then they are not utilizing this electricity to generate income. Yet the essence of this whole process of distributing electricity is to make sure people get out of poverty. But how do they get out of poverty without using? So I kept on thinking it's about the few who are not utilizing, so many who are not utilizing electricity to generate income and reduce. No, that is not it. Why? That question, why? So you need to go into literature. I had to do a literature review painfully, even after a level of defending a proposal, the question kept coming back. What is your knowledge gap? Where is your contribution? I had to go back to review literature. And honestly, I thank Professor Antaya and the team. I had to go back and review literature. In this case, a systematic literature review would be the best for us, the students, the PhD students, because you're able to now understand why things are going that way and therefore what needs to be done. So when you do that, once you are clear about the research gap, and for me, once I got my hands dirty into the literature, reviewing about 55 of empirical papers in that specific area of productive use, I was able to identify a good knowledge gap that now gave me confidence to write a good background. It is difficult to write a background if still you're not clear about your research gap. Research gap, your motivation, your contribution, those questions, you can't answer them unless you're clear about the research gap. And you cannot easily spot a research gap unless you've gotten your hands dirty into the literature. And you need to do this. There is no shortcut. So when I have my literature review, I'm able to identify my research gap. And I think Bosco again highlighted this. The research gap in this case now would be in the area of more or less an empirical, methodological, theoretical. All those things come up only when you have reviewed the literature thoroughly. And once you do that, you can now come up with even your good study objectives. You can come up with a perfect background because the background is about that. It's about the research gaps. It's about your motivation. It's about why this study is important. It also helps you now to position your study to the wider literature. It helps you to now see your contribution. It helps you now go into good conceptualization of your study. All those questions can only be answered if you do a literature review. And to me, again, one thing that disturbed me as a student is the issue of conceptualization. I'm sure if Professor is in, he fought with me until last minute. Every time I would read the background, say, but I am not seeing. The conceptualization is not coming out. The gaps are not coming out up to last minute. I would still go back to the background to conceptualize. So this knowledge gap, this literature review can really be a very big solution to most of the problems we are struggling with as students. And I really encourage, if you have not attempted, you better do it because it will save you so many problems, because then you are you command knowledge of your area, you know who has done what they haven't done, what your study is going to do, how you are going to contribute, how, you know, which theory I will use, why are you using that theory, which all those questions, you'll answer them clearly when you do a literature review. So entirely research is about getting it right. When you have a clear research gap, life becomes a little bit easier, and the writing also becomes consistent, clear, and you are able to communicate. But without that, even if you wrote and completed a proposal, you go to the field, this thing will always come back and keep haunting you and affecting you, and you keep, you know, doing things mechanically. But when you do it right here, everything just falls in place automatically. So for me, that is my strong message. The issue of the research gap, we should not, you know, ignore. We should not rush through it. We should not, you know, try to be smart and you want to outsmart your supervisor. Honestly, Professor, I feel I'm so humbled, and, you know, I really owe it to Professor Antai. He helped me here a lot. You need to work with the supervisor closely at this level, closely with the supervisor, because they are so supportive of this area. And Professor specifically is good at this. When it comes to your conceptualization issues, the research gap, this theorizing, all these things, Professor guided very clearly. And also attending these classes help a lot, because they've taken us through all this. Of course, as a student, sometimes after attending, you still find it difficult where to begin from, but that is it. Get your topic, try to look out for the reality, which is the practical gap, and then now go to the literature review and try now to position that practical gap into the literature and find out what you can contribute towards that gap, addressing that gap from the literature or the knowledge perspective, because people have written about it. People have done something. So where are you coming in? Where is your point of departure? What are you bringing on board? You have to do literature review and to solve all your problems. Yeah, so once you do that, it means your background is going to be perfect. And I must say the background is one of the most difficult things to write in this PhD thesis or in this PhD proposal, whatever level you are in, that is it. If you do that, then you start smelling the PhD. But without that, even if you rush, you'll always have to go back. So I encourage you to try out and try to do this. And for me, after that, another area that I had quite challenges was now whether to use primary data or secondary data. But again, here, the decision here depends on the objectives that you later on set up for. From your research gap, you're able to, you know, come up with your objectives that you want to address or that will help you address your study or your purpose of study or address your gaps. And this takes us now to the type of data that you'd want to use. Given that for me as a student, I am using secondary data. And this is also because my objectives would easily be addressed by existing data. So when I go into issues of data now, of course, again, here I had to reflect on my purpose of the study and my research objectives, and then trying to see what kind of data then can I use to address these objectives. So again, this also requires you to go down on the ground to try to understand what types of data sets are there and what can work for you. Shortly, I can say that you can, depending on your objectives, depending on what you want to address, you have to ensure that the data is available. If it is not there, it will mean that you might have to waste time and then at the end of the day, go back and again, go to the field and collect data. So the moment your background and your objectives are clear, you got to look into the data to see what is there. Do my objectives require me to use a cross-sectional data? And is it there? Do my objectives require me to use panel data? And is it there? Is it a time series? Is it there? So you have to confirm. And when the data is there, the next question is, are my variables of interest there? Can all my questions or my research objectives be answered by this data set? Or do I need to combine different data sets to be able to answer all these research objectives? So again, the debate of the data comes in, and here you really have to be, a bit faster to decide whether you continue with the secondary data or not. For my case, at one point, I started with the cross-sectional data. Along the way, of course, I got some bit of resistance from the panelists and all that. I had to settle for panel data, but of course, there are all those issues, but for those who are going for secondary data, the issue of data availability, again, is something you have to pay attention to, and choosing the right data that will address the objectives. So yeah, for me, I'm using secondary data, panel data, and I draw your attention bitly now to issues of publication. I've seen that Bernard has shared his publication. In a PhD journey, it's a requirement. And the moment on my side I got the data, the next thing was to go into publication and try to do a literature review paper, try to do some of my objectives and try to publish in there. Of course, there is also a whole story around publication. But to me, again, the most important thing is that if you know how to state your research gap, even publication becomes easier, because even in publication, what is very important is your novelty. And the novelty again comes back to the research gap. Do you have a knowledge gap? Do you have a contribution you're making? What is new? Okay, so these things go back to the publication. If you didn't understand the other side well, again, you meet another hurdle when you think of publishing your work. So publication is a requirement, takes time, but the moment for me on my side, when I got the data and I was clear about my objectives, I dived into developing some manuscript with the guidance again of the supervisor. Professor is quite very strict here. You have to do publication early enough because it affects your progress as a student. So the moment the proposal is ready, for us, we do not really do the pilot. So what we do there is try to come up with your manuscripts. And I did that. And when I got my hands into the publication and all this, of course, even it became more clearer to me than ever, and the journey started flowing smoothly. So, Mr. Lasso, those are the issues I can raise for now, not forgetting the issue of philosophy. I think we've had a lot of discussion around philosophy. I still didn't get challenges on the philosophical orientations of the PhD study, because we really did a lot and we're taught in this platform about philosophy, conceptualization, and all those details, theorization, determining the theory, because again, with the literature review, you're able to see which theories people have used and what can you use. It makes life easy. So to me, I owe my, progress and, success to this platform. And also to my supervisor, Professor Anjai, has been very helpful throughout the entire journey. And yeah, I've had hurdles, but not as so many as, because with this platform, with the support of the supervisors, life has not been very, very hard for me. Joseph, that's what I can share. Then also teamwork. It's very important that you have a team, you have people to work with, because you need people to read. Joseph, I remember I would disturb you. Please read my background. Please read. Are you seeing anything new? Please read it. It's very important, especially people at the level where you are, because then they know how difficult it is to write. So you need those people around you who will work with you, who will walk with you the journey, whom you cry to, whom you share. If you've been blasted, you don't give up, you run to these people. and they will help you. So again, you need that strong team besides you. Yeah, so Joseph, that's what I can share for now. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very, very much, Sylvia. You've touched a number of things, and I'm just seeing people sending me direct messages, and they're saying that's exactly where the issues are. And indeed, I must again, I'm very sure Professor Joseph Funtai is listening, and the Professor Laura, let me run down here. Yes, Professor Laura is there. Professor, before I forget, one of the students was speaking with me yesterday, and he said, how can I get to Professor Laura, because I cannot present my work before she looks at my conceptual framework. And I was like, okay, now this issue, the children, in the boxes. So we're discussing, and I remember that, okay, I think today is the day to say thank you to Professor Laura for helping people get to know what to put in those boxes there. Thank you very much. Professor Michael Koche, today they have all not put their titles here, so but you're there, Professor Michael. Thank you very much. Dr. Gideon, I don't know if you're here. Okay. This information that students are giving is the output of your work, and we can't thank you enough, really, we can't. When I hear people speak research, I really want to say thank you to you who have decided to be selfless with your knowledge, and you're giving it at a free cost to the students. Thank you very much. Sylvia has touched so many things, and I really want to say that as students, those are issues. Right from the time we started with Bernard, came to Bosco, the same issues keep surfacing, and I must say, those are the challenges that students are fighting with. But the good news is that we are looking at the feedback now, so that we are able to plan better. Our elders will plan better and see how best they can be able to help us. Right now, I know we have gone past the time that we are supposed to, but I have requested Dr. Ahmed to give us just some few minutes to, we feel we want to speak out these things to the people who have been helping us. And right now, allow me also invite one more person before we bring the session to an end. Allow me invite one more person, Miss Adela. In a few minutes, can you share with us your experience as we wrap up this entire session?
Thank you so much, Joseph. Good morning to you and to everyone on the call. In these few minutes, I'll just want to wrap up and just to say thank you to the team that has been steering this whole student session. I want to thank the students for even attending, because if the students don't attend, then it doesn't make sense for even the organizers to keep organizing these activities and sessions. I want to thank all those who have been thinking through the various topics and activities that should take place or that took place throughout the year, and for ably steering the student session. We've learned a lot. A lot has been shared, from understanding what philosophy is, understanding the different philosophical paradigms, and you yourself as a student anchoring yourself in one of them and trying to see that your work fits in that particular philosophical paradigm, be it from your background to literature review to methodology up to the last bit of your work. So, and then also the issues of data that have been talked about. If you decide to choose a particular philosophical paradigm, then it goes with a certain type of data. And that if you've decided to anchor yourself in a particular philosophical paradigm, then you have to be in a certain direction, and that paradigm dictates the rest of your whole research and the rest of all the chapters and the data that you're going to use. And also the theories that you decide to use, and even getting that patience to sit down and read theories. I remember Professor Laura emphasizing that we really need to sit down and read textbooks and not just rely on just journals. For me, that was a big thing, because it meant to really look for these particular textbooks and sit down and try to see what has been documented in the textbook, what has been documented in that theory. Because if you rely on what the journals are saying, people interpret the textbook content differently. People interpret the theories differently. So if you want to rely on what someone has interpreted for you, you're likely to either carry on the misinterpretation or their perspective, and you miss out on your own perspective, or you actually could carry on even a very wrong misinterpretation. So getting it yourself and understanding what was left out and what was not left out is very key, as to why was very important for me as to why one should read textbooks and not just rely on journals or people's work, or just going to the library to Xerox people's dissertations, because it helps you also be original, and your work really, when someone is reading your work, or even when you're reading your work, it sounds original. So I don't want to delve so much into the other things that have been said by the other speakers on the lineup. I want to add my voice to the rest and thank the organizers and thank the students and thank everyone who has really played a part in these student sessions, and encourage us way forward to continue meeting online, and if necessary, we should even meet physically and get to see the faces behind the voices. And I believe also physical meetings will go an extra mile in building these meetings. Thank you so much, Joseph. Back to you.
Well, thank you very much. I remember always meeting Adela with a book, a real book, reading theory, reliability theory, a real book. You know, some of us have been running to, pick that part where somebody applied that theory in his journal article. We copy that and put somewhere, but phone Adela with the real book. And for me, that's very serious. Thank you very much. I know many students really have something to say, but our time seems to be not on our side, but I thought students could speak, and then let the people who are helping us know that, one, we have learned something. For me, that's very important. Then number two, let the people who have been helping us know that we appreciate what you have done and what you're yet to do. We want to thank you very much. Bernard, are you still on? Ben?
Yes, Joseph, I'm still here.
Very good. Now, over the time, we have had guest speakers. We have had professors coming to speak to us. We have always invited them. A number of them, I've only been able to pick 3, but there are many speakers. I remember at some point, even the principal himself came and spoke to us. I would like to request you to just thank these people on our behalf. It's in only 2 minutes.
All right, thank you, Joseph, and everyone on this call. Straight to the point. On behalf of all students on this forum and this platform, would wish to thank all the speakers who have made it to this group, who have shared their knowledge, who have given us tips, who have pointed us in directions that we never hadn't looked to. I can't mention all the names like you stated, but on behalf of my fellow students, I want to say thank you very much. Most of us are still on the way. Please come back, or whoever is here, can we alert those resourceful persons to continue guiding us until we also hit the destination that we are driving to. God bless you all, and looking forward to 2023 with you on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernard. So along the way, we've had the guest speakers coming in, and they spoke to us in different capacities, but also pointing towards what exactly Bernard has said. But other than the guest speakers, we have also had those who have actually taught us. There are people who have prepared the slides, there are people who have been there teaching, and I have just few of them here. There are very many, but I just have these few. And I just want to invite Bosco just to say thank you to these few that are here. Bosco, if you could.
Thank you so much, Ndugu Joseph. I have this opportunity, I have the pleasure and the pressure to shoulder this heavy and momentous honor to, on behalf of my colleagues, to most sincerely thank our mentors, our friends, our coaches, and for the knowledge you have shared with us. It's an indelible mark in our journey, and we shall forever keep you in our thoughts and our network to seek further guidance, because even after we complete, we will certainly consider you our mentors forever. We thank you so much, and for the knowledge you have shared, for the time you wake up to guide, to teach us. It's very difficult time for you, but you have given the time, and we must honestly appreciate this from the bottom of our hearts. And I have on the list, you have indicated the names. I will, for purposes of the record, make mention of the names and acknowledge the list that is put on the screen. I note that, of course, Prof. Funtai is the chief architect, and then we have Professor Laura Robia, Dr. Ibrahim Musenze, Dr. Musinguzi, Dr. Godwin Aimsiwe, Dr. Goreti Chayune, Dr. Hassan Bashir, Dr. Gideon Nkurunziza, Dr. Susan Watundu, Professor Michael Okoche, and Professor James Kagari, and other professors that guided us. You can only trust that you have invested your time appropriately, and we'll try our best to keep the knowledge you've shared and the guidance you've given us shining. We thank you again, and we can only say God bless you, and we continue to learn from you, like Bernard has said, the next 2023. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Ndugu Bosco. I don't want to even to dilute what he has said, but want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and God bless you. Sylvia, are you on?
Yes, my mentor.
Ah, Sylvia. Yeah, you're too fast. Now, I just want to invite you to speak about that slide on your screen.
Oh, God. Thank you very much, Joseph. And I'm here to thank Joseph, not Joseph the chair, but Joseph the professor, who is the idea behind this platform where we are now. It's not very easy to stand here to speak or thank professor, because it becomes very difficult in terms of the choice of the words to use here. But what I can say is that, Professor, you've been a father to us. You have seen us sussling in our pants, failing even to pronounce the word philosophy, conceptualization, theorization, gaps. And today we are here standing before you to say all these words with a lot of confidence. And I give glory back to you, Professor. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a parent. Thank you for being a mentor. Thank you for being a prophet or someone who has stood with us throughout this time. And also thank you for being patient. It takes a lot of patience to work with students who don't know even what research means. And that is where a professor picked us from. And I'm sure that is what motivated Professor to come up with this platform and went ahead to bring all these wonderful mentors, these wonderful professors and doctors, and brought students from different walks of life to come here and share. It takes the heart of a parent to do this. So, Professor, thank you so much, and we can only wish you more blessings as you wait to stand to see your fruits that you have been preparing, or that you have sowed all this time. Thank you so much, Professor. Merry Christmas, and we wish to see more of this next year in 2013. Joseph, I don't know if I've done or I have done what you have expected me to do, but those are the few words I can say about Professor. Thank you.
Yes, you have done very well, Sylvia. Only that we are going to 2023 now.
Not 13.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, we are happy. We are excited. That's why. And of course, for me, when Sylvia mentioned that we were unable to mention some words, one of the things when we began the first lecture with the prof, you know, it was online. I'd never seen him. I could just hear, but I'd never seen him. And he started teaching philosophy, and he started talking about some demon. And I was like, now, we have come to start learning about demons, and me, a Christian,
You,
we are
you
now on
say
demons.
its name, Joseph, before it comes for you. It's called Laplace.
The Laplacian.
So my friend James could not mention the word Laplacian demon as he was asking me. I told him, even me, I don't know, I don't know what to say. You know, but you see, that is how this journey is, and this is where this professor has picked us from very far, as Sylvia said. So we could not mention the Laplacian demon. We were wondering, but now I remember I even asked a question when he said that this demon knows it all. So I asked a question out of ignorance. I was like, now what about God? If this demon also knows everything, do we still need God? Yeah, but that is what it is. That's where you are picked us. And today, if you really been very observant, you notice that we have moved a little bit. We have moved a little bit, and we want to really thank you very much. I don't know if Adela is still on. Adela, are you on? Okay.
Yes, I'm on.
Adela, you're on. Can you speak about that slide there?
Thank you so much, Chair. And also for giving me the opportunity to talk about this slide. Dr. Ahmed Walugembe, we want to, from the bottom of our hearts, on behalf of all the students on the call, those that are present and those that are not present tonight or this morning, we want to thank you so much for always being there, coordinating these programs, moderating these programs in a very professional way and in a very good way. We thank you for sacrificing, because these classes are free. These classes are free, we don't pay, and yet we walk away with a wealth of knowledge, free of charge. But the part you have played in ensuring that these sessions are always there, there's always a speaker every week. I believe every time it's Wednesday, you are wondering, okay, now what is next? What is next? And you have committed yourself to doing that. You have been so consistent. You have been so available. You have been very active, very patient. You are a very patient speaker. The words are not enough to thank you for doing a very, very, very great job. May God, only God can reward you for this. May God bless you. We wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and continue being you, continue doing what you're doing. I believe that you have touched so many lives, and this will have a ripple effect, not only on other people, but even on the nation at large. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Of course, most of you will agree with me that Dr. Ahmad Walugembe has a unique voice. So I could always hear just at night, but I did not, I expected a very huge, big person. And so I would always look forward. I want to see this doctor with, I was shocked when I saw him, he was almost my size mate, and I said, but thank you, doctor. That one was on a lighter note. Thank you very much. But there is one person that even, I know we have gone so much into the time which is not ours, but I just want to hope that the planner will forgive us. And but I'm bringing this to an end. I just want to ask Ronald from Bustema. Ronald, are you on?
Yes, Mr. Lasso, I'm around. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want, in a very few statements, There is a slide that I think, I don't know how, it's not here, but there is one gentleman. I want you to thank him on our behalf. That is Professor Michael Okoche. He has always been there, moderate here, moderate there, moderate there. Can you, in just a few words, on the behalf of the students, thank him?
Thank you so much, Mr. Lau. So protocol observed. Professor Okoche, I would like to say it has been a journey. First time when we met you, and the first time I met you, it was an interesting fact or statement you brought. And you presented something in a weird way. I hope that you people will be serious and you people will have energy with this course. Surprisingly, and I remember it was at a unique encounter as we were submitting something or handing over a document. Then I asked myself, or we asked ourselves as students, would we manage? Will we be serious? But even on top of it all, we used to ask ourselves, will we be able to understand the philosophy that is going on? And some students were asking me, are you sure we have gotten into something we'll manage? But as we moved with him, we realized there was a way he could simplify things. And we began to understand, most importantly, what our PhD journey would be like, and that there's this forest we would enter. But as we entered this forest, we realized, hey, it's not actually bad to be inside this forest. And we began to realize that, okay, there's more to this animal they call philosophy, the ontology, and epistemology. So now we started making jokes most of the times amongst ourselves about ontology, epistemology. So I began to realize that, oh, thank you so much, Professor. You have woken us up to the level we need to aspire. But most importantly, we also began to understand from him something critical. We must look at our work more deeper. And as time went on, he's a person who is open. He's willing to accept all of us the way we are. But most importantly, he kept pushing us to do better. And he had always that accepting and welcoming arms to him. I would like to say thank you so much, Professor, for being receptive to Bustema, to also allowing us as students to come, because there was a way he received them on the first day of also lectures online. People, this and this, we went, but he didn't move us at the same pace as the others. He knew we were babies, and he really helped us take those first steps.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Professor Okoche.
Thank you very much, Ronald. Thank you so much, Professor. And as I bring this session to close, again, I want to apologize. We usually don't behave like this, but today we are very excited. We usually try to manage time, but I hope Professor Antai, Dr. Walugembe, you manage our misbehavior today, will forgive us. I want to bring this to a close, but before I close, I just want to request somebody go on your chat and type, thank you, Professor Laura Robia. I don't know whether those are the correct pronunciations. For me, I just know that she is very quiet, doesn't speak anyhow, but if you want to engage her, you'll get the best ideas in as far as your research is concerned. So just go there on your chat and say, thank you, Professor Laura. We love you. I want to bring this session to an end. I don't want to get overexcited. Thank you, and thank you very much. God bless you. Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year 2023. I bring this session to the close. Thank you very much. It's been nice managing this and enjoying exchanging with you. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I hand over to the next moderator. Thank you. God bless.
Okay, thank you so much, Joseph. I was still enjoying, but you quickly handed over. Thank you so much, and I want to thank everyone who spoke in the early session. I don't know, but I think in the future, we need maybe a number of weeks Sundays to be able to listen to each other. I've really learned a lot. The enormity of what this platform has done over this year. And I must thank everyone who has logged in today. I must also thank everyone who has been logging through the year. It so happens that today is part of the many Sundays we normally meet. And we're going to continue from where we stopped. But again, allow me to appreciate Professor Joseph Ntai. And like they say, sometimes you don't know what the future holds when you meet some people, but there are some people whom you meet and tremendously change their destiny. And I must confess that Professor Joseph Ntai has been one of the persons I met, and really, I must thank God for the chance and the opportunity. So this morning, allow me to acknowledge most of the senior colleagues. Of course, I must appreciate everyone, all the students, all the student leaders who took us through the morning session. But allow this remaining time for me to steer the discussion, and we're going to have 4 main discussions. But before we do that, let me acknowledge all the senior colleagues who are in the call. Professor Joseph Ntai, Professor Laura Orobia, Professor Sam Adaramola, Dr. Gideon Kruzinza, Dr. Goreti Shune, Dr. Ahmad Walgembe, our planner and coordinator, Dr. Hassan Bashir, Dr. Kwemarira. I don't know whether I've not seen any senior colleague here. Okay. So we're going to have 4 discussions, and we basically want to reflect on the successes we have made. And honestly, there have been a lot of tremendous successes we have made, and I don't want to highlight, but there are a lot of testimonies we have seen. Before we started, we never had, it was mainly the senior colleagues who could begin presenting. But we have even had sessions where students have been able to, the PhD students have been facilitating the main forums to greater level of display of expertise in different areas. And I don't want to take much time, but on my personal level, I want to really appreciate the senior colleagues, and I want to really appreciate Dr. Hamad Walgembe. It's very, very, very nice working with Dr. Hamad and most of the senior colleagues. But today we are going to have a discussion, and we want to reflect on what achievements, the challenges we have faced, and maybe proposing better ways of managing the forum in the coming year. And the main discussants will be Professor Laura Orobia. We shall have Dr. Hamad Walgembe, Dr. Gideon Nkuruzinza, and then Dr. Goreti Chiuno. We shall give each of the discussants something like 10 minutes, and then we move forward. So I will begin with Dr. Hamad Walgembe, and then followed by Dr. Gideon Nkuruzinza, and then we have Dr. Goreti Chiuno, and then we close with Professor Laura Orobia. This is now a family, and I really There are so many people. Actually, it's difficult to speak on this day because I'm really very excited and I'm really thankful, first of all, as a student of this forum. I consider myself as a student because there's a lot of learning which have always taken place, and meeting colleagues who give you a lot of their support. So I think let me first invite, I will make maybe some comments later, but let me invite Dr. Ahmad Walgembe. He takes us through, then after that, then we go to Dr. Gideon, then we go to Dr. Goretti, and then our Professor Laura Orobia. Then I believe we shall continue from there. Dr. Ahmad, are you on?
Thank you very much, Professor Michael Koche. I hope I'm clear from that side.
Yeah, but you need to raise the volume a bit.
Okay. Just to give or to add
Are we listening, Doctor?
on what my colleagues have just mentioned, but us, anybody else reaching this point in time, I would like to thank. Am I clear? It seems I would like to thank the Almighty, the experiences in the year 20. Yes, Dr. Michael?
Yes, like we have any challenges here, and I don't know whether it's only me, but hello?
His network is not good this morning.
Okay, Dr. Ahmad, maybe, I don't know. Prof, can we start from the other? Can you start, Prof? Professor Laura.
Let the next person take it up.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Gideon Krusinza. Dr. Gideon.
Thank you, Professor. Because I'm so excited and very happy about the comments that have, of course, the members have shared, allow me to speak without the order of coherence. One, I want to really thank God. First of all, the genesis of this so-called, I think it was God sent. It occurred in 2020 with our champion, Professor Tai. You all know what happened in 2020 when we had that issue of COVID. And I also believe that in every challenge, there is always opportunity. Whereas today we are talking about this platform giving free service. I think to me, this is God-given. As you know, we all breathe. You know, you have oxygen. It is free, indeed. Just imagine one day oxygen is not there. How is it expensive to have it? This is the so-called we are talking about. Free as it is, centered, free, service oriented. This is our oxygen. To me, the message I want to give to every member here, remember, free as it is, It is the oxygen we are breathing in that we need as PhD students. Today, it is Professor Ntai championing it and other members, including you people. I believe this should be also championed by our grandchildren. Professor, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you. Even when he's not feeling well, there's time I shared with him, really was not fine. But again, I saw him on the platform. How resilient are you? May God also bring that courage in us. Creating a change is always a challenge because there is resistance to change. I share one of the experience. When we started having these sessions, one person told me, your time is not for us. We can't manage. But I believed and I remembered the statement which I learned from Professor Ntai, who I said sleep is the mind. I thank every member here that your mind has worked very positively to wake up very early and you come to learn. In learning, there's always an learning. There's need to relearn until you see that positive change in the holistically in you as individual. So I must thank all the senior, I don't want to mention names, and the other colleagues, especially those who are also at PhD level, the students. I know God is seeing you. Even if people don't say thank you, I believe God is going to reward you for this. This platform has very many participants from Uganda, East Africa, and other parts of the country. In Africa, for those who are not from Africa, I want to say this. In Africa, every time you have a service, they want to attach a cost on it. And so this has kept us a little bit backward. And yet, it is a time to lift each other. For the last 3 years, from 2020 up to 2022, we are still on this platform. No cost, but I believe from economics, we have a cost, opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. By now, I believe some of us would be doing other things, but we are still here. We must thank God for this, and all members who are on this platform, it's important. Now, there are many suggestions that I've had. One of them is to identify ourselves. Definitely, it's important to track the record. Perhaps when you get a chance, we need to track the record of the members that have been participating and get to know where they are. Perhaps in the future, we may have that court system, the court system to know this person from this country, from this university is at this level, the other one's at another level. Maybe you could have people who are in court 1, looking at the concept, court 2, maybe research proposal, court 3, looking at results and interpretation, court 4, maybe looking at the final the discussion and defense level, etc. I think I'm bringing it as part of the suggestion, but in addition to what I had in the morning, one member mentioning, how do we track the members on the call? Because for the last years, sincerely, I'm sure I have many who have completed. There are many who have completed and have also benefited from this. It's important to have that record. And I think we also have it, but we can keep referring to that. Then we know which court is coming in, and we see how to help each other to progress. In that case, of course, sharing the experience, the progress reports from each of these members would be very well, but it requires a mechanism of how to operationalize that. I'm trying to submit to what is also what one of the member mentioned. Without the order, of course, I said that I also have benefited a lot from this. One, I believe most of you never knew me, but through this platform, I have had very many calls. I've met many of you, and indeed, for me, it is a plus. It is a plus. I have been able to benefit from that synergetic relationship with you. For those who came and we met, really, I was so impressed. And I believe we are having other people also to meet in the future date. The other one I've learned is another aspect, again, of time management. I thought I knew how to manage time, but for sure, I've benefited from this. Again, I've tried to improve on that. Time management has really been a part of my benefits. I've also tried to also benefit from, I know most of the universities from where most of you are have engaged me. I thank you for realizing that I have something to add, especially in different aspects, research, curriculum design, and others. I believe for sure this was a plus on my side. I may not mention all the benefits in terms of writing and others, learning how to write, a number of things. I believe I have learned, but because of time, allow me not to mention each and everything that I've learned, but I want to say what I've learned partly, inherently, me myself, I may not even exhaust that. But I believe each of us has a story to tell. I think, Chair, Professor, I want to even say this, that one time I used to talk to Michael, and it seemed as if we knew each other closely, the way we talked. The time I met him, I used to think Professor Michael was a big old man. Professor is so young man. I must thank you for sure. I can't thank you enough for always calling me, even when you never met me physically. At least I must say this, I shouldn't forget about this as we approach the new year. And I believe there are others I don't want to mention one by one. Chair, without the order, I really want to partly stop here, maybe when you engage me more, I may also come on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gideon. And you know, like in scholarship, there are people always you quote. There are people when they speak, they really is one person who really triggers my heart when he speaks. Thank you so much. And Dr. Ahmad, are you back? We sort of lost you because of network, but really we want to hear from you. I don't know what we might do. Dr. Ahmad.
Yes, I don't know whether I'm clear now.
Very, very clear. Please.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Michael Koche, for chairing and moderating our last engagement of the year 2022. And also allow me appreciate the team that has been running 3 a.m. session, most specifically the team led by Joseph Erasu for the job well done. Now, my contributions or discussion on this today is twofold. Number one is to pick out the few areas and advise to my colleagues who are still on the PhD journey, who have been able to wake up this morning to really I learned something new, and they have been doing that for the last 12 months in a year. Issue number one, if we try to summarize what we have been going through, is that the PhD journey ideally is something that requires your commitment. And if you look at all the guest speakers we have brought on board, all of them, as they were thanked by Joseph, all of them have made a great contribution on the same element that we need to try as much as possible to bring in that commitment. Issue number two that we have actually talked about every now and again is that you need as much as possible to work closely with your supervisors, and the supervisors will enable you to smoothly go into understanding your work at as early as possible. Some of these issues were mentioned by the team like Sylvia in the 3 a.m. sessions, but of course, as a summary of what has come out throughout the different discussions, I think we need to re-echo and emphasize these issues. The other issue is learning how to publish. We are still learning. We have picked a lot, but it's very, very important that you learn how to publish from your work.
Again, we're having challenges. Doctor, it's like we lost you again.
As early as possible. Months discussing specific.
Doctor,
yes,
we lost you a
yes,
bit.
Dr. Michael.
You repeat some of the words you lost you a bit. We lost
I don't know
some.
what happened to my network this morning.
Yeah,
it's kind of. Am I back now?
yeah. You get back from publishing. Yeah, on point of publishing.
I was saying that the issue of publishing has come out to be something that is very important for the PhD students, because ultimately we realize that you need publications even after your PhD. So a skill, if you're able to get that skill within your the PhD period, that becomes very, very important. And we expect that members should be able to come out regarding this and give each other support. I remember I was giving an example of the 2 months we spent with Charles Oluport, Joseph Erasu, trying to discuss and trying to work on the issue of publishing using literature review. That was very, very good. This is something that we have looked at, and we thank God that a number of students today, which was not there during our time, have learned using their PhD work, using their literature review to publish it before even they graduate. or before even they get the results. So this is something that we need to really focus on and move on. Among the other issues that we have talked about this year is the issue of the different methodologies. We have tried as much as possible to unpack the different methodologies, and we assume that members should be able to go in detail and identify the methodology they want to use over time. At this moment, allow me to appreciate so many people have been able to make contributions here. I remember the time we had the team of case study. I think that was late last year, but it came into early this year.
His network is, Doctor, network again is disturbing. Hello, Dr. Ahmad. Well, again, the network is disrupting again. Maybe
Professor
Dr.
Chikoma, and we did basically for case studies to open.
Doctor. Okay, you just try your
Better
best.
that way.
Try your best. We lost you again, but
Okay, I was saying, anyway, I'm
yes.
now loud and clear.
Yes.
Maybe your position or the room where you are.
I have changed the position, but I think I'm using it. I'm using a different network, not the one of, not my usual network. I think the network is the problem now. I'm not using my Wi-Fi, which normally has been giving me good network, but I'm tethering.
It's not clear. It's clear now.
I was saying that as the team that is organizing and planning, we normally pick what to discuss next from the challenges we have received from you or from the previous presentations or the lessons learned, and then we pick up gaps. Now those gaps, we base on the gaps to plan and bring topics for the next weekend and also the following month. So we have been able to tackle and discuss methodology by methodology, approach by approach. Some of them we have not done, worked on them conclusively, but we hope that we should be able to work on that. From the case study gap, we realized that qualitative work was very important. And we have not tackled this very well. So we are trying to put a team, hopefully will be led by our own Professor Rolla early next year, to see how we can unpack the issue of qualitative data. A number of people are now trying to go into qualitative work using doing their PhDs based on qualitative work, publishing their qualitative work, and we have a lot of data around. How can we get use of this data and really be able to make a contribution? So we'd like to thank the team that did the case study methodology at that time. Of course, we want to now go into the other approaches in doing qualitative, not only method, case study. And we are extremely grateful for the team waking up at 3 a.m., prepare, almost spend the whole day prepare the presentation. You know, all those issues coming into existence. This time we looked at panel data. Panel data really is something that is very new to non-economists. To non-economists, we are not really into panel data work, but after having many of our colleagues doing the PhD in energy economics, we realize that now we need to really put a lot into panel data. Let me really thank some members here. My colleague, I call him my senior colleague, on this platform is a student, but to me is a very senior colleague of mine, Mr. Bernard Waukala. Mr. Waukala, you really did a great job. You deserve an applaud from us for taking us through in support with your supervisors. The support we received from Professor Dr. Buyinza, Dr. Faizo Buyinza at this level was very good. But I think Bernard on the platform, you took us through, you give us more details on how you can use the panel data to actually publish and move on. And I love to say that what we picked out on this is that we need to create teams. I hope Bernard's team is moving on. These teams that move ahead and see how they can actually publish out of these discussions. We had agreed that we go to UBOS to really get more data and give it to our students and also to ourselves as a way of uplifting and moving ahead the discussion on panel data. So Bernard, we still have a date on that. We need to finalize it and ensure that members really get into, those who are not there, they need to really move on. And so many things came out of this discussion. Dr. Susan Watundu came in at the later stage. Remember our previous last week discussion, and even the discussion we had in the middle of the year, trying to see using multiple data sets. Is it possible? Is it not possible? All of these are issues that actually emanate from the discussion that we have. You have one discussion and leads you into another discussion, and the discussion creates another something to share and then publish about. And to me, we're now thinking of publishing this model of learning, which seem to be very important. I don't know whether I'm still on, Dr. Michael.
Yes, we're getting you.
Yes. Then I would like to also appreciate the methodology that was brought for the sets by our own here student, Mr. Emerit John Bosco. John, I believe I dedicate this also to you, John Bosco Emerit. We normally call him our comrade from those years. Comrade, you should be able, I thought you were going to graduate this year. I don't know what happened, but we wish that you could graduate soon. We need you to really publicize your methodology of sets. You did not finalize that discussion, and I think we have a very big date with you also. So among the things we are lining up to start with early this year is the sets of Mr. Emerit John Bosco. That was not concluded. We need also to embark on qualitative analysis, detailing the analysis of qualitative work. That was not concluded too. And we think that all those issues are very important. But comrade, we appreciate you. We thank you for the time you spent, close to 3 to 4 weeks with Professor. That is a month trying to unpack these methodologies, and the team is very appreciative. If we come to analyzing quantitative data, we spent close to 2 months analyzing quantitative data. My own brother, Dr. Gideon, you almost the month of October and the month of November were dedicated to you in terms of making contribution to this. Really, I'm extremely grateful. The team is extremely grateful. Soul Code is extremely grateful to you for all the time we had to engage you to ensure that people can appreciate how to analyze quantitative data. Now, to my PhD students and to my colleagues whom we have moved the journey together, members, we have done this because we believe and we know it is very important that you should be able to analyze your work yourself at a PhD level. It will be very bad that you take this work to somebody to do it for you at this level. You will then fall short of a skill to learn if you don't analyze your own work. And that's why we have given it much attention, that we should do it. We should do it as a group. We should come here, do practicals on how to analyze its work. From correlations to regulations to mediation to moderation. There were a few practicals that we missed out on: mediated mediation, moderated mediation. I think Dr. Gideon, we may get some time again early this year, maybe around Feb, March, after the qualitative discussions, and we'll see how we can come back and ensure that we really cover up these missing gaps. These missing gaps are very important because we are shown that students must be able to really, those who have been able to, on this platform, must be able to do this analysis themselves. That is critical and important because if you do it yourself, you know that your supervisor is the following day. After 2 years, like the model of Makerere, you'll be supervising other students. So if they did analysis for you, you always get challenges. And I remember we used to sit with our supervisors in our cohorts to analyze our data. So that is what this platform is trying to help you to do, and also move ahead. So we thank you. As I come to the end of my message, it is the issue of panel discussions. Panel discussions. Professor Rolla. Professor Rolla, what I can tell you for what you have done in terms of making the panel discussions work. And this is the methodology of presentations we started this year. We did not have them last year, but this year they became extremely useful to us. Why? Because panel discussions have been able to help us appreciate, get into details of the Q&A, those unanswered questions that somehow exist, but they are not clear. You know, somebody is there trying to differentiate between a research question and a research objective, methods and methodology. People have been doing a great job here. Dr. Ibrahim Musenze, Dr. Susan Watundu, Dr. Hassan Bashir, Dr. Gideon Nkurunziza, and Professor Rolla, Professor Michael Koche. I mean, your enthusiasm in trying your level best to give the students what they can take back home has been great. Dr. Cheyune, we appreciate you over this. I think you sat a number of times being part of these panel discussions. Prepare, I mean, questions come in, you need to go back and check what could be the best response. All these are issues that I think that we need to move ahead with. So we appreciate you and we thank you very, very much. And to my co-moderators, Professor Okoche and Professor Rolla, these are my seniors, but they have been calling me, discuss how to do it. Professor Rolla, your humility. Members, Professor Rolla as a full professor, giving you free time every Sunday. I don't know what we need to do. We need to make this a physical event and we can possibly do something for you. But there are some people who are really need to thank extraordinarily. Professor Rolla, I think you have done a great job and supporting one another. We appreciate you and we thank you very, very much. Our visiting professors, Professor Adamora, Professor Samuel Adamora, I think even today should be online. He has been part of us. I think we shall give him a chance, Dr. Michael, to say something on this platform. Professor Sam is a visiting professor from Norway, who has been able to log in whether in Uganda or in Norway and give that support. Our visiting professors, guest speakers, mainly, I will mention Professor Baji, professor of Kampala International University, who gave a very powerful presentation on using your PhD after the university. Then Professor Abdulkair from Muni University. Professor, we also appreciate you, and we assume and we are planning to bring more of these senior colleagues this year. This is our plan. For feedback from you on how we can improve them. So we expect that you should be able to get some students to give us comments at the end on how we can improve. Before I come to the end, I would like to appreciate students. You know, even if the professors and doctors have been active, but the students community has not appreciated. They're not online. I mean, it causes some issues, but you can see that this year I think learning has been led by the students. Learning has been led by the students. They have done a great job in supporting others to learn. The literature review, systematic literature review sessions, which took 2 months, were led by Joseph and Charles. We appreciate them. The panel data discussions were supported and led by Bernard. The fuzzy set analysis was really supported and led by Joseph Amerit John Bosco. So students on the platform, I think you have a lot to share to fellow students and to us, and you are learning. You're using a methodology I've never used. When you are using it, you're learning a lot. You're using a theory I've never used. For you sharing that theory, we are learning, all of us. So if we engage you, that you have, you are using this and we are not using, don't fear. I will not to those students who have used two data sets, especially in quantitative data sets, like what Dr. Susan discussed and Professor Rola in the previous 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, we need to call you back. You have 3 data sets, each object with a different data set that is unique, that you have not used before. So we need to bring you back and discuss these issues. So Sylvia and your team, you are supposed to handle this, and possibly, given that now you are at a critical time of submitting your work, we can give you that time, but hopefully we need to prepare something for us early next year. And we appreciate the students. We appreciate that. Then our students from international communities that make this platform really international. Rather, Gimire, I think rather comes from Asia. Which country is this? Professor, you can remind me. Rather comes from, that should be, okay, I think Professor will talk about it in his remarks. And also students of different universities, from Moi University, they have been very active. Students of Moi University, of Dar es Salaam University, very active, and also South African universities, especially those from Nelson Mandela. Okay, rather comes from Nepal. Professor has reminded me, from Nepal. Rather, thank you very much. She's even on today. Then the team from Zimbabwe. We appreciate your commitment. They are always online. The Zimbabwe team. The Zimbabwe team is a very big team, and they will even text you, send you WhatsApp, what is going on this week? Can you send us the slides? Can you send us this? We have all this information, and I think we shall be able to share this information with you at a given time. I have got a few challenges. Actually, I can mention this, and I would like to admit that I will not be able to give recordings on time. This is one of the biggest challenges I've met as one of the people who are behind organizing the sessions, giving recordings on time. These recordings are too heavy, and being too heavy, you need to pick it up and then share and with the person, but we are discussing with Prof on how we can improve this. So I'd like to extend my apologies to all the members who have been able to ask me for the recordings and have not delivered the recordings on time. There have been a few challenges here and there in doing this, but I believe that as we improve this platform and make it a better platform, we shall be able to have something better. We have big plans for this, and hopefully at the right time shall be able to bring them out. And then finally, to the SOLCOD. SOLCOD, the Socratic Research for Community Development Team. Socratic Research for Community Development Team. I would like to thank our mentor, our own friend, our own parent, our own professor, Joseph Ntai. Professor, since COVID-1, March 2020, when he started these areas and appreciating the concept of Zoom, Professor started without anything, and he said, okay, we must start. With that original team of Dr. Ibrahim Musenze, Dr. Musinguzi, I don't know whether he's online today, Dr. Michael, all these people, they are still with us. Sometimes they will be in and out, but I would believe that they are part and parcel of the platform. My colleague who has got lost, who was the original chairperson of the students engagement, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., Mr. Shafiq Mujabi, probably had a few challenges, but we shall bring him back. These people made a very, very big contribution to giving this a foundation. At the time of registering SOCOD, today SOCOD has very big plans. SOCOD members here, please, we need to have a retreat within the break of 2 weeks. As Dr. Michael communicated that we're breaking off today and then we shall resume in Jan. Within the break of 2 weeks, we need to have really a physical engagement. That physical engagement should be able to make us really refocus on our big plans. We have big plans to ensure that all of us will come together to support. Everybody is here to support. It is a CSR project to support. They are supporting. None is given data. Nobody has given Dr. Michael Koche data to moderate this session for the last 2 years. Nobody. Nobody has given data to Professor Rolla for the last 2 years to come and share free knowledge. Nobody. They have families, but they keep on coming. So we need to see how we can keep this on. Dr. Goretti, she will miss a session, then she will call you what happened. She will join a session on a flight. She will join a session in transit. I've experienced that with Dr. Goretti, and I know she has done this several times. So these are issues that we need to think about. And in the remaining minutes of our discussion, there's my colleagues coming to share, Professor Rolla and Professor and Dr. Goretti. I would like to also give a chance to all other doctors online, Dr. Kwemalida, Dr. Gideon, is a part of the team, Dr. Hassan Bashir, and many others, and to give us the ideas on how we can actually push it ahead in the year 2023 and possibly to perform better. Thank you, and back to you for now, our moderator.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Ahmad Malgembe. I must thank you on my personal level. I think let us invite, I want my inviting Dr. Goretti Chione to discuss. Dr. Goretti.
Thank you, Professor Michael Okoche. I would like to add my voice to thank the team our planner. You have really summarized everything that has gone through this year. I would like to again thank our main mentor, Professor Joseph Ntai, very inspirational, Professor Laura, and somehow Professor Musingu's disappeared, but he's really a very good inspirational too. I would like to thank everyone on the team that has been facilitating these sessions to enable our learning. When I say our learning, it means us, the facilitators, and also the students. As facilitators, we also learn from each other. The number of things that come up and they are a bit new, you've not bothered to find out on them, but because of these sessions, really, you get these pointers and they enhance your interest to find out more about them. I hope I'm clear. I have some bit of cough and flu, but I hope I'm clear a bit.
Very clear.
So I should say that the students that have really committed themselves to these sessions are very, very lucky, because there's a wide range of choice on how to go about the research one is interested in. There's a wide choice in terms of the methodologies, in terms of what kind of data you want to use. You've been really very lucky, guys, because at our time we didn't have these benefits, because you would sit and read and be able to find out what is bothering you, what your problem is all about, what methodologies you should use, how are you going to get your data, analyzing this data, your discussions. So the fact that these sessions in the morning, Sunday mornings, bring everything to you free, on a silver plate, let me say, you should be very thankful for this. And I normally tell some of the students I interact with that with this kind of sessions, you can actually complete your PhD in 2.5 years. Not even 3, you can complete in 2.5 years. You are done with your research, so long as you have the commitment. So the key issue here we need to look at is commitment. How committed are you to your set target for research? Because everything is there for you. I liked the literature review because if you have a topic you want to undertake and you need all the information that there is about the gaps and the theories that have been used, the methodologies. Literature review was presented by, I think it was Charles Soluport and some other person, how to do your literature review easily and even be able to publish. I really liked that because if a student is really committed and is able to read, there's no way you can miss out on that to get your work straight. And also the different choices given about the sources of data. Senono Fred, I think, made some good presentation on that, and was supplemented by Bernard Waukala on usage of secondary data. So the availability of all these pointers to the students really make life very easy in order to proceed on the research and making it shorter. Actually, I should thank Bernard Wabukala. We still have some work in progress with me about panel data analysis. You can see that the presentations made by the students and also the facilitators benefit both sides. We get to know from the students and also use their expertise, as also we give what we can in aiding in aiding your progress. Of course, like my colleague, Dr. Walugembe has mentioned the different methods that have been brought on board. Fuzzy sets analysis, that was new to me. Of course, at some point, I will need to take that more into consideration for further future use. A lot has been presented, so, and I should say that it is you to decide which information do you want to use. And this starts from the way you are conceptualizing your work. And that is where I would like to maybe make more emphasis on how you conceptualize your work. So that will determine which choices you are going to make in all through your work, your methodology and your eventual discussion of your results. So conceptualization is important as far as also the gaps that you want to address, the methods that you are going to use, and where you're going to pick your data from. Because in your conceptualization, you have variables that you're going to use. And how are you going to measure those variables? So that will point to your methodology, really, on your sources of data. So if you are very clear from your conceptualization point, then the rest of the work becomes easier for you. And I think I've had some interaction on this with some members or students to pay attention to the area of conceptualization. Even if you spend 6 months or 5 months on conceptualization, it is not wasted time, because some people want to move very fast without being very clear on what they want to achieve. And in a space of maybe 3 months, a person wants to move on to literature, wants to move on to methodology chapter, wants to move on to those other chapters without a clear focus on what he or she wants to achieve. So spending more time on your conceptualization is very important, because it clears the way for you. You should have got your philosophical orientation, your methodology very clear, how you're going to measure your variables, your sources of data, and your tool, your research tool is also taken care of when you are conceptualizing, because you get to know how you're going to measure those variables. And of course, knowing the relationship between those variables is very important. So I should say that these sessions have helped us as facilitators and also students to get to know the right way of moving faster on your research. There are also benefits, I should say, between colleagues. To myself, with colleagues, it has been easier for me to coordinate with my colleagues on a number of issues, all those that have presented different topics on this forum. And also the students, because I think I've engaged Charles Oluport, I've engaged Bernard Wabukala, I've also engaged my mentor, Professor Ntai, Professor Laura. So it has been made a simple cycle for reference. In case of anything, if you are looking for certain information and it is not so clear or where to get certain information, these sessions have been very beneficial, I should say, to me, and also in guiding the students that I do supervise. So I should thank the team, the organizers, my colleagues, the moderators, and I should submit at this point and maybe be engaged more if there is anything for me to clarify on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Goretti. Let me take this opportunity to invite Professor Laura. Some comments. I know at an opportune time I'm going to invite Professor Sam Adaramola. Yes, Professor Laura.
Thank you, Michael. I'm just wondering, on my screen, I'm seeing something white. Is someone sharing a screen or what?
I think technology, somebody's trying to share, but you can proceed as we see how to sort it out.
All right, a very good morning. Michael, can you hear me?
Very, very clear.
Okay, a lot has been said, and I don't want to repeat myself on what has already been said. So I'm just going to add a few things. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank in a very, very special way Professor Ntai, the founder of this platform, the one who really, went out of his way and said, you know what, the PhD students and the potential students are out there in the forest, wondering which tree to cut. How can we help them? And so he put this thing together, and it has really been beneficial. From the feedback that we are getting, we really thank you, Professor Ntai. Friends, you'll agree with me. When you hear about Professor Ntai, you start quaking and saying, this is a very difficult person, can't approach him, blah, blah, blah. Everyone quakes. When you tell someone, go and see Professor Ntai, people start panicking. But if you get to know him, and if you get to share your work with him, you'll find that he's a very easy person to work with, and you learn a lot from him. One thing I learned from him is when you're guiding a student, go ahead and also share resources. You can even You can even verify this from the sharings on this platform. Whenever a topic is being discussed, he's always in the chat, sharing books, sharing papers, you know. So that is one thing I learned from him. And so whenever I'm guiding students, I go an extra mile and try to look for resources and also share. Thank you so much, Professor Antai. I have learned a lot from you, a lot, and I'm still continuing to learn. For example, today, everyone is talking about systematic literature review. I mean, the way we've been doing our literature review has been the traditional way, but then, you know, the platform has benefited me as an individual, as a supervisor, but also as a facilitator. So thank you so much for this platform. We've benefited a lot, and to other people who have shared here. You know, for me, this platform is like, I should say it's like home. You know, you always look forward to the morning session, the Sunday session, wherever I am, even when I have functions, even when I travel, I always tell Ahmed, I may not be around, but I'll see how to key in. And for some reason, 3 a.m., my eyes are open automatically. While I have an alarm, sometimes the alarm goes on even when my eyes have already opened. That is how, you know, like, excited I be, looking forward to this session, to listening to Joseph Elasso in the morning, in the discussions, to listen to the students do their thing, and then everyone who, you know, participates. I really look forward, and I'm so grateful that everyone has been here with us. You know, it wouldn't be a success without each and every one of you. So I'd like to thank everyone who logs in to listen to us, to listen to the presentations, to learn something or to share. Yeah, there are a lot of benefits of this platform. First of all, knowledge management. Over the time that we've been here on this platform, there's been a lot of, you know, organizing pieces of information. I can see Joseph, Wabkala, they go out of their way, look for videos and share with people, with their fellow students. Even Professor Ntai does that, and others. You know, organizing the pieces of information to equip everyone who logs in. That has been a great, great achievement. And I really want to thank everyone. So there is organizing of the pieces of information, trying to create knowledge, and then using that information in our day-to-day work, in how to improve our manuscripts, and also the dissertation, the thesis, our research, and then also being able to come here and share. That has been a great benefit. And then another benefit is the connections. While we meet here, we are able to know who is who, and where is so-and-so coming from, how can this one help us, you know. From here, I was able to know that Professor Michael Kocha is from Otamu. I sometimes, you know, walk to Otamu, and, you know, we are able to work on a thing or two together. Have been able to link up with others. On this platform, I got to know Vincent Senono. So anything to do with the UBOS data, I know where to run to. And many other connections. recently, was it last month, we had a team from Muni University, and I'm like, wow, okay, Muni is in Arua, my home district. Now I know who to run to. So friends, while you come here, there's a lot. It's not only about coming to pick what is there, what is going to be shared. Look further. There are connections to enable you grow. There are connections to help you access certain data, certain information, certain resources. So I really want to thank God for that. The connections, okay? Then the support system. You know, the PhD journey, during our times, you guys, during our times, we were on our own. We never had people coming out, you know, to share their PhD journey with us, or, you know, have such a discussion. Someone coming out to, you know, give a talk on fuzzy sets, on case study methodology, on panel discussion, panel data, you know, all those things. We never had those things. We just used to, you know, you have to go out there and look for that information on your own, if not with your supervisor. But now on such a platform here, we have a support system. We are able to know the experts in whichever area. Today, you are able to know if I'm stuck in econometrics, I know where to go. If I'm stuck on case study, I know where to go. You know, in this PhD journey, you cannot afford to read alone in your corner. In your corner, in your cocoon, you have to come out, you know, share what you have, look for what you need, and you are able to sail through the journey. And another benefit here is the growth. Yeah, the growth. You see, learning does not stop. Every day we learn something new. I already confessed here that I've learned a lot of things from here. Topmost for this year that I've run away with is the systematic literature review. And I keep saying that, and people are like, you mean, how did you do your literature review? I mean, I have to be honest. There's growth in how we do things, growth in knowledge, growth in, you know, our minds are open to new things, to better ways of doing things. Those days we used to do everything mechanically, but today, from this platform, we are able to grow. Sylvia, Arakit, and Elasu, and among and others who confessed this morning, they were able to say, you know, today I'm a changed person. Today I'm a changed person. I'm no longer that person who was green. So there is growth, there is impact. I want to thank Professor Ntai for this platform. And what are the challenges? The challenges, first of all, on individual level that I noticed. One of the challenge is the attitude. There is this feeling that this platform is only for Professor Ntai's students, which is wrong. This platform, even Ahmad and Professor Koche have continuously said that this platform is open to anyone who is thirsty of knowledge. Thirsty of knowledge. It's open. So that negative attitude has really been a great challenge. Then another challenge is the time. We always get comments of people saying, that is an ungodly hour. How can you be teaching at that time? How can you block us out? But I mean, this is not, for lack of better word, this is not a local platform. It's an international platform. So we need to take care of the time zones for other places across the globe, and hence the time. And we are going to still stick to the 3 a.m. up to 6:30. So For those who are thirsty, they'll always make a way. I always tell those who come complaining to me about the time, I tell them, where there's a will, there'll always be a way. You cannot tell me that you're dying for knowledge and you fail to get to throw the blankets away and come and log in and learn. You can't tell me that. You will create the time. Then still on the individual level, I see also the challenge of students coming out to share. Some people have that stage fright. They get stuck on their write-ups. They don't want to open up. They don't want to come here and display their thing. There's this thing of, they'll rubbish me, But I mean, how are you going to learn if you don't share your work? So I always encourage students and other people who are starting the journey, you know what? Please come and share what you have done so far so that you can improve even further. The comments you get from your presentation, you are able to improve further. People who have come out boldly can testify to that. That after the sharing experience, much as it was rubbish, for lack of a better word, much as it was rubbish, now with the comments, they can now come up with something better and new. Others have testified that after their sharing, their minds opened up to see the holes in their work and they were able to. So stage fright, many are still glued to their work they don't want to share. Hopefully, next year, come 2023, we get more students coming out to show to share their work and learn more. You know, we are here to help one another. We are here to hold each other's hands on this journey. All right, then there's the issue of the network. I think that is beyond our control, but when we are going to, you know, when you want to learn something, when you want to benefit from an online session, you really have to go out of your way and ensure that, one, you have the gadget, two, you have what it takes to log in. Yes, sometimes it's an issue of where you are or the location, but at least you make an effort. Yeah, you make an effort. So networks remains a challenge, but that is something that can be worked on. Then, friends, you will realize that this is a volunteer service. Yeah. And because it's a volunteer service, one of the greatest challenges we've had is trying to get more experts talk to us. Yeah. So that is something that still remains a challenge, you know. But God will always make a way. Someone was telling me, why is it that it's only you, Michael Koche, Ahmad? Why can't we hear other people? They even permit me not to mention names. They even mentioned, why can't we hear so-and-so come and present, so-and-so come and present, so-and-so come and present. Our issue has been, if it's not the issue of that so-called ungodly time, it's the issue of volunteer service. But God will help us. Yeah, God will help us. At least you have benefited and you continue to benefit. And with time, we know that more people will join us. All right, words of encouragement to the students, supervisors, facilitators, and every well-wisher, everyone on the call. Number one, be very proactive. You know, this thing is, it has to come from deep within you, passion. Have that fire to learn something new. For me, I don't want to remain just where I am. I don't want to say that I have arrived. No, I always want to learn what is new. Right now, I am on Wabkala's case. I want Wabkala to teach me how to use startup. You may find that, shocking, but yes, I want to move away from SPSS and Smart PLS. I want to go to startup, but now who is the expert? I'm learning from fellow students and fellow colleagues. I'm learning from the students and fellow colleagues. So, I mean, be proactive, yearn to learn something new. We always share the flyers, the links way ahead of time with the topics that are going to be shared. But there's still some people who are like, I'll come to that when the time comes. There's always something new you can learn. So be proactive. No one is going to push you. It is an individual thing. Have that passion, have that fire, have the zeal. Then also an emphasis here is learn to do it yourself. Efforts have been to ensure that you learn how to do the conceptualization, you learn how to walk through the methodology, how to identify which methodology applies for which research objective, and so forth. Why are we doing this? To equip you with the knowledge and the ability to do it yourself. But it's so sad that even after that, people still go and hire others to do for them stuff. There is someone who came to me with a data set, and the person didn't know what was involved in the data entry process. And I asked myself, what happened here? Then the results, and the person didn't even know how the person that was hired came up with those, analysis results. Yes, sometimes we hire help, but if you hire help, make sure that you sit down and you should be able to understand the steps. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be required to defend your work. Defend your work. How are you going to be able to defend your work if you're not doing it yourself? So friends, students out there, potential students, existing students, learn to do it yourself. I can't exit without saying read widely. Read widely. Read textbooks. Read textbooks. I've always said this and I'll continue to say this. I liked a comment from the 3 a.m. session. Someone is buying books. That is good. Yes, if you are going to just read someone's dissertation, then the person just summarized something or paraphrased something picked from another source. So it is better that you read widely, apart from the referring to those dissertation, the thesis and all that. Make sure you are able to go to the source document. If in a book you've read someone has used complexity adaptive theory, system theory, don't depend on what that person has written. The person very clearly must have indicated the source. Why not check out the details of that source in the list of reference and endeavor to go to the source document? For me, I even had to buy, one of the theories I used was the theory of reason, action, and theory of planned behavior. I had to buy the textbook. I have that textbook with me. So no one can come here and present something and say, I'm using the theory of planned behavior. And then you deceive me on the concepts. You deceive me on the arguments, the assumptions of those theories. Why? Because I have the book, the real original textbook. It's not a textbook, it's a book written by Fishburne and Asen. So I have that book and I'm able to argue out and support my assertion. For you, what have you done? Which textbooks are you reading? Have the habit of collecting books. Some people say that books are for academicians and so forth and so forth. No, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. The way I summarize what I have read may not be the same way someone summarizes. So it's better you go to the source, otherwise you'll be depending on, I don't want to say rumors. Yeah, so that is it. Thank you very much for being part of us this year. We hopefully hope that come 2023, we shall end it in style, either with a conference or a symposium where we all meet physically. For now, we shall continue with our online engagements to accommodate a wider audience, because we want everyone to benefit. And so for those who have benefited from this platform, it is a humble request that you always try to tell a friend to tell a friend. Why do you want to benefit alone? Don't you want others to benefit? Don't you want others also to sharpen? Look out for others. Be your brother's keeper. All right. I think that is it from me. Over to you, Michael. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Laura. Wow, it has been very interesting. This morning, actually, whenever each person is speaking, I really feel I'm gaining a lot. I see our times almost running out. Let me give this chance to Professor Sam Adaramola. Professor Sam.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's a privilege for me to also be part of this platform. I'm speaking in a location that is 2 hours behind Uganda time, so which means my time is around going to 4 o'clock. So I also try to be awake, though I always have challenges in keeping the time, especially when I travel out of Uganda. But I won't repeat what other colleagues have said, and just to make some comment on the issue of publication that we talk about. That either you are PhD student or you are lecturers or you are professors. One of the things that to show what we know is actually communicating our finding with people outside our office, to be more precise, and by publication. And one of the things that I've also learned, sometimes we are so scared. I talked to a colleague sometimes ago. He said, when you have some paper coming from some part of the world, more precisely maybe from Africa, you can only publish in certain journal because this international paper don't recognize what we are doing back home. But I also feel that sometimes we just scare ourselves unnecessarily out of fear that those journals are not acceptable. And from my experience with some of students on this platform, we have discovered that if you, don't be afraid. If you have a good work, don't be scared to send your paper outside and get published. Sometimes you might get some criticism that you look at your work, it's like you'll be crying, but it's not about you, it's about your work. And from our experience too, by the time you go through this peer review, which we don't want to go to, You know, is sometimes people want to submit their paper today and get published next week. That is not a lesson, because, you know, peer review give you two things. One, it share the quality of your work, and also give you free education. You know, it's like somebody help you to edit, to write, to review your work without you yourself or without your sponsors, and give you some feedback. Some of us, we miss out on that if we are scared of some of this journal. So my focus and for us is that we need to, you know, we don't need to be scared. Those people are published, we can also publish them. So I will encourage our students as we are moving ahead, because one of the things that you have to do continuously, if you either you are in academics elsewhere, is to write paper, is to publish your articles. Your sponsor might help you now, but in the next 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, some of you have to do it by yourself. And then you also have to help your students that are coming, or your junior colleagues that are coming. So we need to get it right. And then we start from this systematic literature review that we have been talking about, which is a good one to start with. And then we also move on to different parts of our work. So what I'm just, not to repeat what everybody has been saying before, is that let's pay attention to these journal papers. Let's pay attention to where we publish our paper. Don't publish because you want to cut numbers, but remember the quality, and the quality also affects, you know, your career. Like one of my colleagues said, you know, you don't want to submit a paper whereby nobody will even look at it. You have a paper that's very good, but nobody ever cites it apart from you that look at it once in a while. So my suggestion, my comment on this for our PhD students is let's work hard. And for our colleagues, our senior colleague, I thank everybody that have been helping the students. And like Professor Laura said, all of us, we are beginning learning from this class. I think I told some of the students here sometimes ago when I was in their class that professors are just like students. In fact, some of you students are even smarter than professors. You know, if professor find a difficult problem you cannot solve, you give to students as an assignment. The next day you get the solution on your table. That is like Professor Laura said, we are all learning from here. So nobody, we have advantage over you because we got education ahead of you, or maybe because some of us were born ahead of you. So that give opportunity ahead of you. But in terms of knowledge, we are all the same. And I like the way Professor Laura said, you know, open your mind, learn new things, learn new challenges. So that's what we are doing. And that's also one of the reasons I like this platform. Personally, my background is engineering, but in the last 3 years, I'm also turning to economics now. I mean, social science, social scientists now, because of interaction with some of the things I'm learning from here and some of the things I'm learning on ground, on campus at most. So please, let's continue. And in terms of a speaker, I mean, it's challenging too. And I also know that it's not always easy for everybody to be online. But since it's a free and people are, you know, spending their time, spending everything to be here, so I don't think anybody can complain it because it's not a tuition paid thing. So it's, you know, if you are committed and you know you want to learn something, then unfortunately, the same people that are complaining of timing, you know, if you ask them to wake up by 2 a.m. and go to Kampala Square and go out, somebody come and give them some amount of money, they will be there even higher than that. So we can give excuse. Sometimes I can give excuse, but when you are committed, you know, you are going to pick something, you will wake up on time, you'll be taking part of time. So we use what we have as much as possible, and we hope that in future we get more people that will be ready to make presentation. And we also know that our students are now growing very soon too. Maybe we, the senior, will just be sitting and be watching them like what we did from the first session when the students are sharing their experiences. So from that, we also learn from them to that way. Thank God that everything that we have been doing, or some of the things they have been picking along the way, they actually put into practice themselves too. So how we, because of time, I won't speak much. So thank you very much, Professor Michael, And thank you, Professor Ntayi, that actually invited me to this platform for the first time. I've never tried before because I like my night sleep, but now I'm adjusting myself to be part of this. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody, and thank you students. And I wish all of you and all of us a Merry Christmas and an exciting New Year. And we are looking forward that a lot of our students on this platform will finish their PhD next year, and so that we have full house of PhD, and hopefully we are going to welcome new cohorts, fresh students into this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Sam and Remola. Allow me, I know our time is getting over, but allow me to give one of the senior colleagues to say something. That's Dr. Hassan Bashir. Dr. Hassan Bashir, one of the comments. Dr. Hassan. Okay. Thank you so much. I believe that maybe one or two people have any comments based on what most of the senior colleagues, the discussants have highlighted. Before eventually now we come to the close. We will be having our senior mentor closing as none other than Professor Joseph Dai. And really, I'm overwhelmed with joy about this moment because if you listen from each of the speakers, nobody has been, apart from many things they have said, but everybody testifies that they learned something, which really is something which is wonderful. I've attended some meetings and you feel that actually you wasted time going there, but this is a platform where every morning, every 10, 20 minutes you log in, you learn something, you find that you gain insight in more unique ways which you have not even had before. So I really thank each and every person. Of course, that's a contribution from each of us, from the comments, from the questions, and then more especially the coordinators. And I remember when we started the student session in the morning, it was really difficult. I used to participate in those sessions, and how can I do? It was difficult even to finish 20 minutes because, but today the students have gone beyond even their time, and they would actually go on. So I really thank God and really appreciate each and everyone. Maybe if there's any comment, one or two, I'll take before I finally invite Professor Joseph Dai. Yes, Michael iPhone. Michael's iPhone.
Hello, sir. This is Michael Kaluya here in the United States. Just joining you for the very first time. I was invited by one of the students on the forum. I am a professor of economics here in the US, but I'm also from Uganda. I'm glad to be here to hear some of the experiences of the students on the forum and the colleagues and experts on what kind of advice you can give the students. I don't think I'll be joining frequently, but whenever I get a chance, I'll join in. And I joined in late, so I don't even know what kind of advice I can give at this point because I don't know where you are. But with the time, when I get acquainted to the group, I should be able to offer any advice that I can. So that's it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much. And I believe that 2023, we shall be moving so much together, and it's nice having you in this morning call, and I think we shall be able to see how we keep moving together. Any other comment? Okay. Thank you so much. I think allow me to invite Professor Yusuf Guy to give us words of wisdom, and I think that will be the close of our session. But honestly, I'm so grateful to each and everyone. I feel elated. I know there are so many people who have not been able to log in, but they logged through the year. Some people have been able to log in every day, every day, every day. Yes, Dr.
Thank you so much, our moderator. I want to thank you for the learning that has been taking place for the whole year. I want to particularly thank Livia. I enjoyed the flow at the beginning, the way how he was paying tribute to us, to the professor. I particularly have learned a lot from this forum. Initially, I started from quantitative, then I went to mixed methods, then I went to qualitative alone. I am learning a lot on how to go about empirical, how to contribute to knowledge stemming from the empirical paradigm. There is a time Wabukara Bernard presented, I learned a lot. There is a time that also Walgembe presented about theorization. This forum is worth celebrating. So thank you so much. And maybe to those that are called seniors, when you come here, you're tickled to stretch further. So I'm saying thank you so much, guys and girls, for the forum. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a new good year ahead. Blessings to us. Over to you, Chair, and thank you so much, Professor Koche.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Your comments are highly appreciated. And actually, I believe that if each of us was to speak, would speak for the whole day. And I think the idea Professor Laura is saying, we shall be able to see how to pick it up. That next year, maybe we could close the year with maybe a conference or something like that. But Professor Joseph Mutai, let me invite you to speak to us. All of us are really.
Thank you very much, Professor Michael Koche, for giving me this opportunity to speak. But probably before I begin saying what I want to say, I think when I finish, you will have an opportunity, or probably Dr. Ahmed Walgembe, to give us a program for 2023, because some of us may not actually be knowing probably the day that we'll be resuming our session. Having said that, Professor Michael Koche, I want to thank you in a special way for the great job that you've done in terms of facilitating these sessions. Dr. Ahmad Walugembe and the rest of my colleagues, all the professors and doctors, I really appreciate, including those who are not with us today, the ones we invited to give some sessions some time back. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just begin by saying that this idea came up after seeing what was actually happening to our students and the various views that some professors actually had. For example, we have some professors who do not like a PhD, sorry, a taught PhD program. They believe very much that the only way to advance knowledge is to have a non-taught PhD. And those professors have their reasons There are those who would advocate for a taught PhD, and they also have their reasons. Now, when I saw this debate of the taught versus non-taught PhD, and yet in this country, we've got both taught and non-taught PhDs, I thought that we needed a platform where we could probably share ideas here and there, because many of the students who are on the non-taught PhD are struggling out there. They do not actually know what to do, even after completing their PhD, and they are possibly defending their PhD during their vivas. They are still learning many new things and terminologies. You can imagine somebody who's defending a PhD but has no idea about philosophy of science, or probably has scanty information about certain methodological aspects. So when I saw this kind of struggle, I said, well, we probably need a platform somewhere. Now, the second thing was that many students were lost in the academic forest and making uncoordinated movements. They would go to one supervisor, who tells them to do this and the other, another supervisor says another thing, and some of the students actually got confused along the way, and some would actually drop off the program. I remember, let me just share two incidences that also informed this kind of platform. When I was in the office one day at around 4 a.m., one of the PhD students actually came to my office, literally crying. And when I say crying, I really mean crying. This gentleman had made a presentation to a panel, and they listened to him, and one of the supervisors, not supervisor in this case, but one of the panelists made a comment and said, you never get a PhD. That's why all your bosses in the institution where you work fail to get a PhD from this university. You'll never get one, because what you are presenting is just rubbish and there's no idea. So the fellow comes to me, I listened to his story. I told him, yes, I think you have a brilliant idea. So I quickly went to the internet, picked around 5, 10, I think there were about 10 journal articles in the area. And these also included some systematic literature review papers. Of course, compiling works that had been done for quite some time. I told him to go read those papers and also download more journal articles. So the student went, did exactly what I had asked him to do, came back, and we worked on his proposal. The gentleman today is very happy because I think he'll be graduating soon. He'll be defending his PhD. And later on, when he went back and made a presentation, those very fellows who were saying that the fellow will never graduate actually picked interest in his work. So that's where the idea of systematic literature review, because I looked back and I discovered that one of the problems that we have is that our students are not taught a number of things, because certainly they are doing a non-taught PhD, so they keep on discovering. But once you do that, you do a systematic literature review, you are able to understand what's happening in your field, and you'll be on top of your field, and you can always explain these things. So by then I was teaching philosophy of science in economics. So I introduced that aspect, and I started teaching that element. And later on it became a requirement. For me, every PhD student I supervise, you must do a systematic literature review. In fact, we start with a systematic literature review You work backwards and write a proposal. And I'm very happy that now this is an idea that many people have taken up. I'm really very happy. And when I listen to students making presentations on this platform and they're on top of things, I feel very, very happy. So why so-called is because we are all diverse with the different beliefs, upbringings, and dreams. So this so-called is a platform that brings together, right, these diverse ideas and paradigms. And of course, we also try to listen to the paradigm wars, because when some professors actually make presentations here, at some stage, at some point, you will be exposed to information that may contradict what you already know. Now, there is no problem with that, right? And at this level, it's not a question of one being right, another one being wrong. It's a question of listening to these ideas and paradigms. That's why you have many, many theories being developed. Many theories are challenged, right? And many have to be revised. So in this case, I really want to encourage you, especially the students who are trying to do something, to share your stories, right? Please share your stories as often as possible using this medium that is available. I know Professor Lola made a comment and said, I know students don't want to share, right? They have that phobia of sharing. But how will you ever get to know that what you are saying is correct or wrong or makes sense or is going to help somebody develop an idea in that particular direction? So I think we need to do this, right? So, of course, I'm also aware of the fact that those who will come after us, right, will have diverse stories, right, to learn from, right, and even read, right, if we share our own stories. So this forum has touched on key topics inherent to every PhD student's journey. These include whether to embark on a PhD, because some of the people who are on this platform have not yet made up their minds to start. Some are just starting, right? But these are issues that we have discussed here, right? Choosing a supervisor, a research topic, right? We also looked at some tips for the PhD journey, how to prepare for your PhD, Viva, for example, for those who intend to defend their PhDs. We have given them an opportunity to make presentations here, right? And again, we've had really advice from a number of professors and also fellow students on the platform, and I think this is very good. We all know that a PhD journey is a personal experience and is very unique to everyone, and one cannot blindly copy and paste another person's journey, right? And just because something didn't work for me, or probably Professor Rola or another person, does not mean it won't work for you. We can learn from and find comfort in each other's experiences and stories. And I think I just want to encourage you to keep on logging in and discuss or make presentations and join the discussions. We all know that a PhD, as we know it, is an abbreviation for Doctor of Philosophy, which is really an English translation of the Latin name philosophy, doctor, or doctor philosophy. So we are aware of that. Now, depending on the field of study, right, whether you are doing a taught PhD or a non-taught PhD, for some of you are doing part-time PhDs and so forth, right? We know that your PhD journey could span a period, let's say between 2 years to 10 years. There are those who actually take 15 years, right? But you need to somehow plan your PhD journey very well so that you do not actually take 20 years or 10 years or 5 years. I've always told the students that you can actually complete your PhD in 2.5 years. Personally, I've supervised 2 PhD students who completed in 2.5 years. The only problem was that they couldn't defend their work because they had not paid the fees, but they were able to complete. So it is possible that you will be able to complete your PhD with the support of your peers, support of professors, and of course, now maybe 2 other things as before I close. One of the things that we discussed during the year is an issue of choosing your PhD supervisor, right? And you need to think about these things because you need to identify, right, and get a supervisor, right, who will actually help you through this journey. Because if you do not get a supportive supervisor, I can assure you will get a problem, right? And some of the things that we probably, I don't know whether we still remember some of these things, but they included things like the supervisor's background, right? And how that background of the supervisor complement your background and your goals. This is very important. Whether the supervisor or the individual that's going to supervise you has the time, right? And now I can add the word bandwidth, whether he has the time and the bandwidth to be invested in you, right? Remember, most of them are making really great sacrifices. So if the fellows don't have time, you'll have a problem, right? And of course, the other issue is what makes these people really effective supervisors. So get an effective supervisor, whether that supervisor is respected, right? The kind of feedback, right, that you get from the supervisor, or you'll get from the supervisor, the feedback from other students who have worked with these people, right? And this is very important. I know sometimes when other students tell you that that man is very hard, that lady is very hard, what they mean is that that supervisor will always push you to ensure that you produce results, not because they are really very bad. It's because they understand their business very well. So look at all those things, whether the person has qualities and characteristics that you are looking for and admire in a mentor. Remember, your supervisor will become a mentor, right? Whether you will be able to gain knowledge, professional growth, and opportunities under his mentorship, right? And of course, the relationship the fellow has with the university, right? So, but all in all, I must say that we've covered many things, and all these ideas, I'm sure, have been picked up by you. But really keep on working and working and working, right? Create immunity for fear, right? Lola has properly articulated that, right? That immunity of fear, right? Make sure that you get it so that you are immune, right? And I'll give you a quote from Sir Robinson, right? He actually said that as we grow older, we develop a fear of being wrong, right? And he goes on to warn us that if you are not prepared to be wrong, you never come up with anything original, right? So of course, remember I know many of us start our PhDs when we are old, we don't want to be challenged, etc., but that must get out of us, right? We keep on learning. Even as professors, we learn new things every day. We learn from colleagues, we learn from the students we supervise. So learning only ends at the time when they place you in your coffin, right? And they put that last nail and drop you down 6 feet. That's when learning actually ends. But as long as you are here and you are still breathing, there are many things that you're going to learn. So remember that the largest chunk of your PhD journey is spent wading through the uncomfortable and insecure phases of self-doubt, right? And of course, Abraham Maslow, for many of you who remember his works, he termed this the phase of conscious incompetence, right? And actually, that's where he came up with the stages of learning, right? The unconscious incompetence, when we don't know what we don't know, right? And the PhD, I can assure you, expect to be in this phase at the beginning of your PhD journey. Then, of course, you go to the conscious incompetence, right? A phase where we are aware of what we don't know. Right now, when this happens, that means this realization will inject a great deal of insecurity and self-doubt into your system, right? And you're going to spend most of the early stages of your PhD in this phase, right? Up to the time when you go to now what we call the conscious competence, right? That's when you especially after uncovering what we don't know, we begin to search for answers, right? We educate ourselves, we gain valuable skills, and this could occur at later stages of your PhD journey. But again, continue working through this up to the time when you get to the unconscious competence level, when we get answers to what we didn't know before, and we become field experts, right? So that when you come here, you'll be people will be talking the way many of the people we are talking about. For example, Bernard Wabukara, that he came and expounded on this thing. Joseph Delafto also came and talked about this kind of thing, right? Which is the unconscious competence, right? We get the answers to what we didn't know before, right? We become field experts. So, Professor Michael, I want to really thank you. I want to thank all the people who have participated, both the students and the experts. And we expect to have a better program next year, 2023. We'll be contacting many people out there in the field to come and speak to us, take the ideas and the views seriously. At the end of the day, after listening to these things, please go back to your supervisors and discuss these issues. For those who do not, for some of those supervisors who don't attend our sessions and they don't read widely, some of the things that we'll be sharing with them will be very, very new. They may buy the ideas or they may not buy the ideas. Again, do not get frustrated. Learning does not end. Continue and continue and continue. And for us who have reached this level, again, we must remain where we are, lest we fall down, right? If you're a professor, you won't remain a professor. If you have got your PhD, do not degenerate and go down. And the only way of doing this is to continue learning. And this platform, I think, has done that kind of thing. So thank you very much, Professor Okoche, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yusuf Mukai. Thank you so much, our mentor. It was nice. Really, I was enjoying listening. I think let me invite Dr. Ahmad Walugende to highlight briefly about next year's program, and then Dr. Goretz Shione will close with a word of prayer. Dr. Ahmad.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Michael. We proposed that we should resume on the 8th of January. However, we are still drawing up the program for the month of January, and that will be posted on our on the platform, in the groups that we have, the PhD platforms. But hopefully, we shall be resuming on 8th of January. We appreciate you and we thank you very much. Wish you a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Dr. Koreti, close with the word of prayer.
Okay, let us humble ourselves for the prayer. Father Lord, we thank you for this session this morning. We thank you for the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding shared throughout the year. We thank you for the learning that is taking place. We thank you for all the facilitators. Father Lord, grant us more wisdom, grant us more understanding, and be able to share more in terms of enhancing research. We thank you, Lord, for the energy and the good health for all the students and the facilitators. We pray for all this through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Have a blessed Sunday.
You too, Doctor.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, everyone. Hope to see you
Thank you,
again
Prof.
next year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, but also go to church.
Elasso.
Yes, Prof. I'm going to shower and go to church.